Wow.
All right, welcome everybody. This is Tom Randall. I want to welcome you again to this webinar today. Looking forward to having a chat with you folks. It's been a while. I got a great team of marketers, as you guys all know, from GoldenCare, and they do a lot of our webinars for us. And they have me busy running around, working behind the scenes, doing a lot of the fun stuff that I do. But I do want to let you know, check out our website at goldencareagent.com. You can see up there the phone number. And I can't stress enough, and I'll close with the same thing, is that if you ever need any support, we know it all starts in the trenches. It starts because you guys are working hard to go out and help a lot of Americans. And we've got a great team here who can help you, and a lot of tools that we can help you with as well. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time with that. Again, most of you know me already, Tom Randall. I've been here for too many years. I think I'm in my 29th year. So coming up, maybe not quite yet, but 28 years, 29 years, whatever it is. You lose track, you know you've been there too long. But we've been in the business here at GoldenCare. They just celebrated our 50th anniversary last year. So I'm excited to talk to you about really some true excitement in this industry right now. We have this short-term care, extended care market is just exploding, and we're right at the forefront in the industry. We're really excited to be so much an integral part in that. So we're excited to help you agents go out there and help more Americans, because hopefully what you'll see today after this webinar is that you're going to just kind of reaffirm what you've always known, is that short-term care can be a really nice answer for a lot of people. And if you've been on any of my webinars before, you know I have this little guy on there. He's no relation to me at all, but I do talk about the fact that I have so much information, and I've just really committed so many years to studying this industry and seeing the problem we have in America with 70% of the folks over 65 needing some type of care, especially when you include this short-term care that we talk about. It's so important to me because 90% of Americans have still not had a true conversation with anybody who understands the industry. So I say that we drink out of a fire hose because I always try to say I want to keep the webinar short, but I just have so much I want to tell you about because I'm really excited and passionate about it. So hopefully you'll see that in today's webinar as well, is that if one thing is true, I'm sincere. I look at this saying I not only can help you as an agent, help you support your family because these products pay well, but more importantly, I just want to make sure we have as much tools and as much arrows in our quiver to help as many people as possible. Okay, so that being said, you guys already know the story. There's a shifting market, right? We were buttered our bread with long-term care. We've been a true long-term care agency for so many years, ever since really the inception of the old long-term care plans. We helped design those plans, etc. But we know the market's shifting. We know there's some things out there. The underwriting's so tight, and we'll talk about that a little bit today as a refresher. But we want to make sure you know that we're there to help you and help design new products and help you go out and help people with these new products. And that's really where our heart is here at GoldenCare, from our entire family here at GoldenCare. So do real quick housekeeping. I forgot to say, you don't have to take copious notes on any of this stuff. You'll get all these slides. I'm going to tell you later, I'm doing the cardinal sin. So if I forget to tell you, I'll tell you now. Usually I start webinars by showing where we have products available, so you don't sit there and wonder the whole time, I wonder if it's in this state or this state or this state. Rest assured, I'm going to get there, okay? So I put them towards the end more instead of the beginning, because I want to make sure I got through some of the more important stuff. But again, I will make sure you have access to where all these products are available. And speaking of availability of products, you know, I'm an old man. I got a lot of gray hair here. When I started, my brother Mark and I were with GoldenCare back in 96, 97. And back then, even, there was probably 132 carriers in the long-term care market. I mean, they were all over the place. We had people calling us saying, can I please go sell this product? Can I please sell this long-term care product? Well, then we all know, and most of you on this call know, you have some long-term care bred in you, that you know that what happened in the industry, right? We all of a sudden had the underwriting tighten up. They had problems with their assumptions. They didn't realize people wouldn't drop this like life insurance, and all these different claims assumptions and the economy and everything else you want to talk about. At the end of the day, now those 132 companies have whittled down, and now there's just literally a handful of companies out there. On the brokerage side, you're looking at them as far as the big ones, the ones of real big significance. I hate to say it, there might be a couple other fringe carriers out there who still offer it occasionally, but it's very top heavy industry right now, right? We got Mutual of Omaha leading the pack. And then we have NGL and Thrivent out there. And we're proud to have these guys as partners. Don't get me wrong. I want to make sure you know that. As I go through today and I kind of beat up long-term care a little bit, I want you to know we still know how important long-term care is. I don't want to offend any agents who are out there saying, man, I've been doing long-term care for my whole career, and I still believe dollar for dollar, I have a long-term care plan. I still believe dollar for dollar long-term care is a really well-leveraged plan. But the problem is nowadays it's more expensive, and certainly, as you'll see and be reminded today, the underwriting is certainly tougher. So quite a few years ago already, you guys may have noticed we subtly changed our tagline from America's Home for Long-Term Care. You know, we had to get to the point where with everything going on in the industry, we had to make sure we took care of GoldenCare's reputation, and we changed our tagline to Planning Today for a Secure Tomorrow, because we knew that even though we used to do almost primarily 90% long-term care, now we know we have to spread that a little bit, spread that net a little bit wider. So you can see now we offer a lot of different products as well. And the reason is normal. You guys have seen this before if you've been on my webinars. You know, we used to be able to go out. I've been just blessed and privileged to be able to go out and give literally hundreds of live seminars to folks, consumers. And it got to the point where towards the end, it was like, boy, you know, 50% of these people in here, plus I can't help, because they came to hear about how long-term care would help them. And we turn out to the fact that, you know, with all the meds being put out today and pre-diabetics and all these fun things, we know that there's a lot of declines, right? So now that's why we're excited about this moving market. We call it the extended care market. And we have a real initiative going on that we're trying to get agents to go out and really understand how important it is to have a few extra arrows in their quiver and to realize just how powerful some of these plans are. So this isn't an exhaustive list, but we have a lot of carriers out there, and we'll talk more about those later as well, that we can help you so you can literally help almost anybody you're sitting in front of. Okay, so again, this is from Milliman's study, the most recent one, just showing you that decline rates are huge, aren't they, in long-term care? This is true long-term care now, traditional long-term care. You can see when we're looking at anybody over 60, you're starting to look at pretty scary numbers, right? And more importantly, that when you look at the placement, a lot of agents don't realize this is the same Milliman study. When you look at actual placement, these are people who maybe got through underwriting, some of them, they got through the underwriting, but then they decided, boy, this took so long to get through underwriting, or it's so expensive, I decided I'm just not going to take the policy. So remember, nowadays, most people, there's a really small fishbowl of true long-term care specialists out there. So they do a great job, by and large, of field underwriting. There's not very many agents who just throw it against the wall anymore, because long-term care companies need to make sure they protect themselves. So even after pretty intensive field underwriting, when you look at, check that 46% for 60 to 64, but when you look at 70-year-olds, 64.7% not placed. That means that, you know, that's a huge percentage. You're spending a lot of time. And as big agencies are out there, we have a career agency here at GoldenCare, we know that when you hit things like that, it gets a little bit scary. Because when people are dropping their policies because they said, well, that salesperson was pretty good, they convinced me of how great long-term care is, but then when they sit around, and look at this slide, this is the underwriting time it takes, 47 days average. And you know what, for 60 plus, it goes up pretty high, right? And you can see there, 88.8% of all the policies sent in for the top carriers, these are 9 of the top carriers Milliman used, 88.8% of those were 15 days of underwriting. So at least 15 days, you know what I mean? So that's pretty scary. When you look at that, that's the reason that we decided to really make a commitment again to the industry. I promise I didn't put this slide together. This is somebody on our team, when our other marketers maybe do these webinars, Tom Randall, I definitely, as a team effort, I work real closely with a lot of people on our team here at GoldenCare, helping develop that Omniflex short-term care product, but I am really proud of it. Notice I probably didn't edit it, so my team will give me a hard time, but I do want you to know it's a total team effort all the way around, but I had really a lot to do with trying to design this and really make sure it worked, and I was really passionate about it, and I'm really glad, because I think we did a good job. I think that product right now is the fastest growing product in the industry, and it's a really strong product for people in short-term care. But I'm going to try to be a little more agnostic on some areas today. And I do want you to know we have all the top carriers pretty much out there. You can see on the screen, we've got Wellaby, GTL, Aetna. You know, Aetna's the old daddy of this industry. It's been around a long time, and they're kind of the leaders of the industry, and they kind of paved the path for a lot of the rest of these products. But what I'm going to show you today, again, is how even though short-term care has been around for a while, these new products that are coming out right now, including Omniflex especially, are so strong that, you know, they're just a really, really good option for you. And you'll see this slide a couple times today, because I think Lynn did a great job putting it together, but more importantly, I really think this is the big gap we have. Short-term care really deserves to have a seat at that big boys table over there. A lot of people always look at short-term care like, yeah, it's like these, you know, dental, vision, hearing plans, these little side plans that we maybe throw on at certain people who can't afford long-term care or hybrids, etc. Well, we want you to know it really deserves a seat at the big boys table, and I'm hoping by the end of today on this webinar, you're going to really see that as well, and I'm going to try to reinforce that for you. Okay, so excuse me a sec. All right, I've been up to talking too much lately because I get to talk to a lot of people about how important this is. But anyway, I just want you to know that even at the ILTCI conference last year, this is just from March, we had a breakout session, Rumble in the Jungle, short-term versus long-term care. You know, that was almost unheard of at an ILTCI conference until this year. I know last year before this one, there was another webinar talking, or a breakout session, excuse me, talking about a short-term care plan out there and how it can help. But this is a true where they decided it's time to go out and show the relationship and the differences between these policies. And I'll tell you, Dennis did a great job there. Our own Dennis Reiner was there. But I do want you to know, there was so much, and the reason I put this slideshow together today, some of the slides that I created last night, was because I really understood so many people out there who I just assumed would understand short-term care were so mistaken. They had no idea that these plans, number one, were even out there for some of them, but sharp agents who've been in the trenches in long-term care for a long time have their blinders on so well that they just see long-term care and they don't even think about the short-term care options out there and how they can really help their clients. So I hope you know that's the biggest thing I'm going to try to get through to you today, is this isn't just a plan B. This can be an option for a lot of people, even if they're healthy enough to get long-term care. Even though we love long-term care here at GoldenCare and we're committed to our carriers, we know there's sometimes that people might say, hey, I prefer the short-term care overall for price and benefits. Okay, so we'll get more into that later on too, but this is the same ILTCI. Lynn had this slide in here and I'm glad she did, because just basically shows when you look at carriers and their perspective too in the state of the industry, carriers are realizing that they got to teach agents across the board that they have to be more open-minded to the more quote-unquote non-traditional ways of doing things. So that includes short-term care to a big degree, is that there's other types of things we can do for our clients instead of just saying, boom, is this short-term, is this a long-term care client? Can I get them through underwriting? Can they afford it? Is it a good option? If it isn't, I got to move on. We want agents like you to be able to have everything at your fingertips to help. This slide again is a little fluff marketing slide, but I just wanted to let you know that's really what we specialize in here at GoldenCare. If any of you are on this call, I know we usually get a few new people. We've specialized, like Omniflex, working with Manhattan Life so closely. It took us 3 years, believe it or not, to develop that plan, because we were so passionate about not coming out with just another vanilla plan. We wanted to have something that's really different. And as we speak, we have several irons in the fire, because that's really kind of our MO here. Is our marketers do a great job supporting you. We've got a great career shop. We've got a lot of people out there just to do the regular agency type things, but we also have our entire team working on collaborating with carriers directly and helping them design new and innovative products so that we can go out and help more seniors and really have some unique things for you guys to look at when you're in the trenches. So that being said, because of that ILTCI meeting, I really told our whole team, we need to go back to the basics, excuse me. A lot of agents don't understand short-term care insurance. They literally look at saying, well, short-term care, if I asked all the adults, including agents in the country, by the way, and said, what do you think short-term care does? Do you know what the answer would be? Most people, I think a majority of people would look and say, well, that probably covers 15 to 30 days when you get out of a nursing home or a hospital. I mean, that's how misleading people this product really is. So you hear me say it all the time. The worst thing about short-term care is the name. We use extended care a lot, right? Because people look at short-term care and they think of those small plans. Well, you can make them really small, but you can also make them super robust, and you can design these million-dollar plans. So I want to make sure you know long-term care was taken, so they called them short-term care. And a lot of your clients are going to think the same thing. So I always urge you to remember that when you're talking to your clients. Obviously, you got to tell them what they're buying, but if you use short-term care, make sure you explain that it's just the name of the product, because it's not long-term care. Okay, I'm going to get off the tangent here, and this is what I always do, drinking out of the fire hose. But Minnesota, for example, right now, I just heard good news. It's having good luck so far in the committees on having short-term care be accepted. But Minnesota looked at it and said, we can't name it short-term care. We're going to call it limited long-term care insurance. So it's not going to be 7702B, but it's going to be a plan that's going to have shorter options in there if it gets approved. So it's kind of funny how they just refuse to say anything short-term care. We don't know what that is. And that's why some of the states don't have these short-term care products. They don't know what they are. All their guidelines at the state level are long-term care tax qualified labeled. So they look at short-term care and they see something for 2 years or less and they say, can't have it. We're trying to educate the state departments, and hopefully we'll have good news in the next 5 or 10 years, especially. Okay, enough. I'll get off my soapbox. Extended care coverage, again, by definition, usually these plans are generally less than 2 years maximum, because the tax qualified long-term care is 2 years or more, right? So the big thing I want you to know is that is for home care, and then the facility side, assisted living and skilled nursing, etc. So I want to make sure you understand that when I say 2 years max, it's because the maximum for any one portion is 1 year for these short-term care plans. So you have 1 year for home, and then if you go into a facility, you get another year, or vice versa, right? There are also home care only plans out there, or facility only plans, both on the comprehensive short-term care side, where you can have, like Wellaby starts with a home care base, and then you add facility, and most of the other short-term care comprehensive plans have a facility that you add home care. They have those options to go one or the other without the rider. But we also have home health care only plans, right? So whatever you need, basically, I'm trying to scare you to say, oh my God, this must be confusing. It's not. I just want you to know there's something for everybody out there. There's literally home care only plans I don't talk a lot about today that are from these carriers that the underwriting is so simple, it's scary, okay? Simple plan design is another reason that we like these. I already talked about the fact they're very affordable and very robust. You're going to see even in a case examples I give today how you can go from one extreme to the other with these. But the nice thing about them, unlike some of the traditional long-term care plans that have several different options you got to explain to your clients, with these plans it's pretty cut and dried. You know, how much do we want as an indemnity benefit per day? How long do we want you to get paid on it? And maybe 1 or 2 riders. So very simple. Okay. The key, again, I've already talked about it. One size doesn't fit all. This is where we want you to know with these products we have right now, you can do pretty much anything you'd like for anybody you want, because we have products that work for them, okay? This goes back to that same thing. Don't use your short-term care products as only a plan B or a suicide close. Use them for what they were meant for. Find out a little bit about their health ahead of time, and don't tell them how great long-term care is if they can't get long-term care. That's why this industry is booming, because more and more agents like you are starting to understand that. Okay, let's talk about some common features. Again, back to the basics. 360 days, I already talked about some maximum for the facility side and or the home health care side. So that's why you can get a 2-year claim. And then we'll talk about restoration later. But there are other durations available for you. It's not always a full year. You can have a 90-day or 180-day, et cetera, available with some of these plans as well, okay? 0-day elimination periods are very common. There are other eliminations available, like 20, 60, 30. Some of them have a 30-day, but 0 days are really strong. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit today on why that 0 day is so important. Almost everyone we sell for any of the carriers is 0 day for home care. But facility, some agents are still in their old school and they got that long-term care hat on too well, and they're selling 90-day eliminations on the facility. I'm going to tell you, really look close. The way we design these plans out there, the 20 days is super, super affordable. And the first day isn't a big jump like it is with long-term care. And I'll show you an example of that later as well. So look closely at 0-day eliminations to help your clients. And remember, these are indemnity benefits. These are indemnity benefits with no coordination of benefits. So this is the nice part about these plans. Again, you're going to see they pay for some of these shorter claims that you might have, and you don't have to worry if Medicare is paying it or another health insurance is paying it or another short-term care policy is paying it. These plans are indemnity benefits, whatever your daily benefit is at that point in time. Regardless of how much care you get that day, you're going to get the full indemnity benefit, and we can load those up. That's how we get those really robust plans you'll see, okay? But again, One of the nice things about this, and one of the main selling points, is that it can cover recuperative care. This is where, remember, long-term care always says you have to go on claim. You need at least 90 days expectation of your care being bad. You need help with ADLs for at least 90 days. That's what the doc has to sign. With short-term care, you don't have to worry about that. Okay, so with that, we can cover things, and I'll talk about that a little bit more, I think, on the next slide already. But restoration of benefits, when you put that on top of the recuperative care, that really makes these policies sing and dance. Sing and dance, yeah. So if you can tell I'm lacking sleep, sorry. But if no benefits out there and you're healthy for 180 days after a claim, those benefit days will restore. Okay, and our team can help you with this because a lot of people get confused and scared about the restoration. It's just really strong. It doesn't happen as often. Even though long-term care out there, we used to have restoration built into a couple plans, and then we had it as a rider that a lot of people didn't buy it. Now I think the number was like 17% of the plans used the restoration. I know I just had somebody who I respect a lot said they were at a long-term care conference. They said that actually a quarter of those policies would have restored, so people do get better even with long-term care. But with these plans, because of the recuperative care part of it, you can really have a lot of people use that and restore sometimes several times. Auxiliary benefits and options, inflation. We don't talk a lot about inflation, but we do sell a lot of these plans with inflation. Some of the carriers have them. Omniflex has a simple inflation until it doubles. RX benefit, those home healthcare only plans really show extreme prejudice towards the RX benefit, where you get every prescription you get refilled. The average 65-year-old has a ton of prescriptions out there, and you can see that this is an easy way to be a benefit reducer right off the bat, because with Omniflex, for example, the only short-term care that has this benefit, you can have $300 per year based on just your prescriptions. So real easy way to rationalize the premium. Some of these plans have a hospital indemnity rider or even a base with Aegon or with Aetna, excuse me. All right, here, this 90-day certification slide I just threw in, you guys have seen it if you've been on my webinars before. It's such a key part of short-term care. Tell people, you know, this is one of those few plans, because it doesn't have that 90-day expectation. You can get coverage for things that a lot of people can't imagine themselves wheeling around in a nursing home or having problems where they're going to have a really hardcore claim. But when you look at these short-term care plans, because we offer a lot of first day coverage plans and the triggers are so much lighter, 2 of 6 ADLs or cognitive impairment, but no 90-day, now you can have people say, can you ever see yourself getting a knee replacement or having a fracture for some reason, or hip replacement, or maybe getting in a little accident and needing care for maybe not 90 days even, but needing care at least at some point with help for bathing and dressing, etc. Most people will say yes. And that's the nice part about these plans, is that you can use them for those smaller claims. And then because restoration, once you get better and you're out there feeling good for 180 days, they spit those days right back into the plan. So you have that there for the more catastrophic claim that you might need later on. That's why we really talk a lot about you can have your cake and eat it too with these plans. It's a huge plus compared to a traditional long-term care. So don't forget to tell people that. And look at the policies. I'll show you, we have ways to help you know which plans have which type of restoration. But Omniflex, that was one of the things I was adamant about. I wanted restoration multiple times. I wanted restoration on facility and home care. And I wanted to make sure that people would have the best benefits possible with this plan. So restoration goes up until twice the amount of your benefit period that you chose. So if you bought a 1-year plan for home care and a 1-year plan for nursing home, both those could restore. So you'd actually have up to 2 years worth of coverage for each of those after restoration. Okay, real quick, the Fast 50, I want to talk about that because of the fact that Omniflex is different. We have the Fast 50 benefit in there that I'm not going to go into detail about, but I'll tell you what, everybody asks about, can my family get paid? It's an exclusion in all the policies out there. Besides, GTL has a one-time cash benefit on their short-term care plan. And Omniflex, this is why it took a long time to get this in place, is we had to convince the carriers of what a win it was to have family members coverage for the full duration of the claim potentially. So this is a really strong benefit. Make sure you look at, because at the end of the day, this slide's maybe more for later on, but we have tons of unpaid caregivers out there. And we know even on the paid caregiver side at the bottom, boy, third on the list is family members, friends, or independently paying people who wouldn't be covered by regular policies. So this Omniflex Fast 50 can be a huge, huge plus for you at claim time. Make sure you bring it up to your clients because it really turns a lot of heads, because a lot of people imagine, I'm going to have my family take care of me. Now you have the best of all worlds. You have a solid plan that covers the agencies, and if you want to have family and friends, you can have them get paid as well. You can switch back and forth, so it's very, very flexible. Okay, I'll jump off that. Excuse me. Next, what is short-term care? And again, these are kind of the side-by-side long-term care differences. A lot of you on this call might be in the long-term care trenches and haven't really considered short-term care yet. Want to make sure you realize a couple of important differences. First of all, short-term care, the name can't be anything like long-term care because the fact that was used. So tax qualified long-term care, when that came into effect, they came up with the 7702B definition of what a tax qualified long-term care is. So it's not that. So remember, your premiums aren't tax deductible short-term care. And again, there's a lot of tax deal. We're a little careful about benefits. They don't get a 1099 with these, and usually most accountants will say, hey, if your employer's not paying for it, you don't have to worry at all about short-term care. You didn't get a tax deduction on the front end, so your benefits aren't taxable. But again, talk to your tax advisor and make sure you feel comfortable as an agent, because I'm very careful about giving tax advice as an agent. Okay. Health license required to sell. This one, of course, you need to be a licensed insurance agent to sell these short-term care products, but you don't have to get any special long-term care partnership CE or ongoing CE requirements. So that's kind of nice. That really hurt the industry, I believe. Even though it helped people understand it, it made it so a lot of agents didn't want to mess with it. And typically unisex rates, really nice difference from what we have in long-term care, right? The unisex rates out there, and this goes all the way up to age 89, where most of the long-term care plans say, hey, there's no way we're touching somebody in their 80s. With these plans, you can go all the way up to age 89 with some of the carriers. And again, the unisex rates, huge plus for females, right? Some of those carriers charge a 70% load for a female versus a male, because they know there's a lot of females in those long-term care settings for long periods of time. So because they live longer, especially, and with these plans, we're at unisex rates, so it's much more affordable. Okay, and I already talked about the fact it's indemnity versus reimbursement. That's a huge plus. I put it in here again because I wanted you to know. You remember the long-term care? We used to say, boy, back when I started, everybody sold $100 a day plans in long-term care for unlimited benefits, right? Now the unlimited plans went away by and large for most cases in long-term care. And we started teaching agents about short and fat, right? Sell bigger benefits, because when you go on claim, you don't know how long you're going to die or be on claim. You may as well get back as many of those benefit dollars as possible. With short-term care, that's really easy to do. I say short and fat on steroids, because you can load up these plans and put inflation on them, even some of these short-term care plans, and you can put together huge, robust plans that say, we're going to pay a lot of money right away when you go on claim, so that you're going to make sure you get the most bang for your buck. And I'll talk more about that later as well. Benefit triggers, again, amazed me at ILTCI. We had literally one of the breakout sessions. They said exact same triggers as long-term care. Remember, again, I put it on here again to remind you, there's no 90-day expectation. They use the same ADLs, and you need 2 of 6 ADLs, like bathing, dressing, etc. But you don't have to need it for 90 days. So it really opens the door for tons of shorter claims. Cognitive impairment, of course, is covered as well. And again, no legacy block with catastrophic claim potentials. This is a biggie, right? Long-term care doesn't take a brain surgeon to Google it or look at the news. You're hearing about some of these long-term care legacy blocks, and even some of the blocks that are unfortunately newer that are having some rate increases. And you know, consumers are starting to hear about it. It's one of those things that you get scared because you don't even dare use the word long-term care because people get nervous about it. Make sure we use things like extended care and talk about the fact, don't hide it, but you talk about the fact that, hey, there's been no short-term care rate increases so far, and Aetna's been in this business for a long, long time. These are nice design benefit plans. They're guaranteed renewable. There could be a rate increase in any given state if they filed for it and needed it, but they'd have to show proof. And the big thing to realize, there's no huge catastrophic claim potential with these plans. And if you know the long-term care industry like I know it, most of these rate increase problems were because of those catastrophic claims. So we feel really comfortable with where these are at. The biggest difference we already alluded to several times, underwriting. You know what? No medical records or blood draws to worry about. No phone interviews unless they absolutely need it. So sometimes they'll have to clarify a med they see on there and they'll give a call. But by and large, you can get by saying, boy, I'm going to look at that app and I'm going to know. Aetna has that great green bar everybody loves. And we're working on that, believe it or not, with Manhattan Life to try to say we want to make this as simple as possible so agents can look at their clients, show them the app, get on the thing and know if they have a policy as fast as possible. So you're going to see that we turn these things around much, much faster. Remember, I talked about long-term care. You get a 45-page underwriting guide with every different clarification. You don't have to worry as much with that, with these policies. We have tools I'll show you later to help you, but I tell you what, long-term care, I showed you that slide already, 47 days is the average. They're working on shortening those by using some creative methods. Mutual's doing some really cool things with that, and I know Thrive and NGL are working on that as well. But either way, you're never going to touch where you're at with short-term care. With short-term care policies, average are approved within 3 days, okay? Now, remember, some of them will be a little bit longer than that. Your first time you're writing a policy, they got to check who you are and make sure you're a good agent and all that fun stuff. But once you get rolling with these plans, Aetna has that immediate approval sometimes, and short-term care plans for the other carriers sometimes are turned around super fast the same day. So we put it down usually within 3 days just to keep us honest, okay? Much, much more flexible. Remember, we can design an affordable plan for more people using these plans because you can design some really nice lean plans and you can design some robust plans. And more importantly, you can get through the underwriting. This is just showing the underwriting requirements, more for you to look at later on, but it just shows extreme prejudice towards traditional long-term care plans over here with all this writing. When you look over here at these home health care only plans or the short-term care plans like Omniflex, you can see, boy, they're going to do a pharmacy check, but there's no bill charts to worry about. So you can have somebody who's really, 5 foot tall with 300 pounds. If they're healthy otherwise, you can get them a policy because you don't have to worry about bill charts, okay? And medication clarification call, that's about the only reason usually they call, is that they see something on the pharmacy or on your meds that you listed and it doesn't match up or it scares them because it's a medicine that could be for an extreme condition. So long story short, without getting in too deep in underwriting, all you have to do with these short-term care plans is look at the app and understand the app. And as long as those conditions are not hit on the application, you should be okay. What conditions, some of you might say, for some of you newer, these are all handouts we have for you, available for you if you get hooked up with GoldenCare. But this is just to show you, this is again, definitely an Omniflex marketing piece, as you can tell, because I got that Omniflex limited plan over here showing that alcohol abuse, cerebral palsy, you can have Huntington's, oxygen use with respiratory disease, Parkinson's stage 1 through 3. When I talk about throwing the net wide, I'm talking about throwing the net wide, right? And when you look at home healthcare only plans, some of those have literally, are you in a facility right now or are you getting care right now? Those two questions. That's how easy those home healthcare only plans are, but those are very limited in what they can give you compared to these comprehensive short-term care plans. So even with the short-term care plans like Omniflex, you can see just how strong that is. And all the plans out there are very strong compared to long-term care. I can't stress that enough. Even though you see a lot of no's on this chart, this is comparing against the biggies in the industry in short-term care. With long-term care, it's a world of difference. But even if you had somebody who was healthy enough, you could see that some people still prefer the ease of short-term care benefits come claim time. I literally have done, and Jeff Clark's done a great job in our office, and our other marketers have done a good job of showing people, yeah, we love long-term care. We know it sometimes is the very best option for your clients if they're healthy enough to get it. This is a great thing for people. But if you look at it, and let's say I had a long-term care plan, a 3-year plan at $4,000 a month, so that's $144,000 total benefit. If I could get that with long-term care and I went on claim and I had to have that 90-day certification, I would receive $48,000 per year over the course of 3 years, right? And you add that up, it's 144 grand. If I had a short-term care plan like Omniflex or one of the other short-term care plans that I did a $144,000 plan at $12,000 a month for the facility, for example, and if I went in there for a year, what would you rather get? Would you rather have no 90-day certification required and get that 144 grand right away in the first year because you'd get $12,000 per month? That's that short and fat on steroids I talked about. That's the power of these plans, is that you pay for the premium dollars for it. It's usually less expensive. I could show you tons of examples of that, but I won't get in today. And you can see that it does a really good job. Remember, a lot of agents still look at me and say, yeah, Tom, but short-term care, man, I got to sell more robust benefits. I'm selling people who have pretty deep pockets and they want to get more coverage. I'm going to show you a case study of that in a few minutes, that you can do that with these short-term care plans. But at the end of the day, I also want you to remember that the actual claims data from Milliman says, you know what, the total of all the claims out there for these long-term care plans for each person is about $61,000. Remember, I talked about some of those huge catastrophic claims that throw the numbers off. Remember, on average, most of these you can see on the right-hand side there, 118,000 for the highest insurer average. So most of the plans out there, when you actually get down to the nitty-gritty and examine the actual claims paid, they're not as big as you think. So you can do some unbelievable good things with a short-term care plan, even though you think, oh, it's kind of limited to 1 year each for home care and nursing home. It still is covering what most of the claims would have been. And again, those are tougher claims. So look at this AHIP site. I just throw this on there so you can know. You can go and Google this and you can see any given state if you want to narrow it down, and it'll show you the total claims paid versus divided by the total claims, and show you that for almost all the states, it's 80 to 110,000. So even on the AHIP site, showing that. So let's look at a case study. And again, I'm trying to check my time here. I got 3 case studies I'm going to show you, and I think these are important because it's going to show you a little bit about some unique situations that you can really see how short-term care plans can pull through for the client. In reality, these are, I'm stole these from the CLTC. I just did a panel discussion yesterday. And I give Blaine Webb credit, a great agent out there who helped on, was one of the panelists as well. And Blaine had a couple of these, and I put in the second case study myself. And, you know, I told the team, I don't really like case studies because I always think people think, well, these are niche products that are only for a few unique situations. And I wanted to make sure, you know, keep that in mind, because literally this is not a plan B for me. You'll talk to my agents and our marketers here, they'll tell you, ask health questions first, find out a little bit if they're going to be a struggle for long-term care. Then you go right in and look at these plans as a plan A. And even if they're healthy enough in some circumstances, we're going to show you that it's well worth looking at short-term care regardless of their health, okay? That being said, that little disclaimer, let's look at a case study. Here's Tina on a tight budget. And again, shout out to CLTC because we used these same case studies yesterday, and I thought they were strong enough to include them today. With the health, 60-year-old single female. She's out there, medications, blood pressure, thyroid, metformin, 25 units of insulin, and breast cancer 4 years ago, okay? So the thing she realized is that she had limited budget. Mom needed care for 3 years, dad for 2. And she was out there really trying to say, you know what, I had to financially and really literally take time off work. And I was one of those sandwich generations where poor Tina is out there getting beat up, trying to help with time, etc. And she doesn't have a huge $1 million nest egg sitting out there. So she was really kind of worried, saying, what happens if something happens to me? I got to figure out what to do with myself. So what we did with Tina, and I think this was actually a case study, an actual case study with the name change, of course, Blaine put her together with a $12,000 monthly benefit for facility, $9,000 monthly benefit for home care. So she had $252,000 potential payout over 2 years for claim. He didn't put on the inflation on this one because of the limited budget part of it, but 0-day elimination for home care, 20 days for facility, okay? $132 monthly premium. Pretty affordable plan for Tina. She realized the need for it because she had already had her mom or dad in that situation, and she was ecstatic to get this plan in place. I believe this was non-flex plan, but that doesn't matter. All the short-term care plans out there would be a good option for her. Hopefully in these cases, depending on the health, of course, okay? So in this case, by the way, I had to check because I'm such a fan of 0-day across the board. And there's so many reasons once people are Medicare age because of observation versus inpatient, all that fun stuff. I really like to have 0 days across the board in a lot of cases. If she could afford it for Tina, she could have paid $144 a month, only $12 more a month, and she could have had first day across the board, which would have saved her that 20 days, you know, at $12,000 a month. So again, great opportunity here where we had somebody who wasn't going to be healthy enough probably to get long-term care by any stretch. but she could walk in and get a nice short-term care. And even if she could have got long-term care, we know that this would have been a case where it might have been a better option price-wise. Okay, let's look at Elliot. This one is just one of the old standbys that we have with short-term care, one of those niche examples, right? Elliot's out there. He's a 65-year-old single male. He doesn't have any health concerns from a long-term care perspective even. He's healthy enough. He probably could get a long-term care plan. But the thing with Elliot, he already has a long-term care policy in place. He's got a $6,000 a month, $200 a day plan out there for long-term care, but it's got the old 90-day elimination, which we know still today in long-term care, by far, the most popular elimination is still 90 days. Sometimes people have first day coverage for home care, but most of the policies still sold out there are 90-day eliminations, okay? Well, poor Elliot had a family member, so somebody really close to him, have a car accident. They needed care for a short period of time, okay? And all of a sudden, after the person had to go to a facility, get some rehab, they had to go to home and get a nurse and get some home health aides coming in there. And the family obviously helped out a lot. And all of a sudden, Elliot scratched his head and said, I better look at my long-term care policy again. And when he did, he realized, you know what? I'm a little nervous. That 90-day elimination period, this person didn't even need care for a full 90 days. I would have had to pay all that out of pocket. He knew how expensive that care was. So he got nervous about his elimination. Plus, he kind of looked at it and said, boy, 90-day trigger here. I need the expectation of needing care for at least 90 days. Boy, if I had a car accident like this that family member had, maybe I wouldn't even be paid for that. But either way, I got to take care of that elimination period. I don't know if I can go in and check it out in a long-term care with the carrier, and I'll talk about that. But basically, we had an agent help him by saying, let's put a short-term care plan in there. $200 a day daily benefit for home care and facility, so not even a full-blown plan. We want to keep it really affordable. And that's $18,000 lifetime max for both the home care and the facility. So for one claim, not including restoration, for one claim, he could have $36,000 potentially, right? If for some reason he had care at home and then went to facility or vice versa. Okay, easy stuff. No benefit growth on this one. We didn't put inflation down on this one. We just kept it at $200 a day. And a 0-day elimination again for both home care, but this time for facility too, right? We wanted to make sure he was covering that 90-day elimination, because what did we do with this plan? We just did a 90-day benefit period for him. So this is a really nice little short 90-day benefit period for both home care and facility. $27 a month, okay? If he would have went back to his carrier using one of the top carriers out there in long-term care, it would have cost $93 a month to change that plan from 90 days down to first day on both home care and facility. So what a great way to use these plans to help people as a complement to an existing long-term care plan. And we see a lot of people, by the way, who bought a long-term care plan, maybe without inflation or maybe a smaller benefit with inflation, whatever the case, they don't feel like their benefits are going to keep up. So they put on a short-term care plan to complement the long-term care plan just to make bigger benefits, okay? So last case that I'm going to show you real quick, and I'll go through it. I know I'm getting the 43-minute mark. The health. This one with Max and Maxine, they wanted maximum coverage. So I got a 56 and a 54-year-old. You can look at their health there, right? We got a 5'11", 272 with type 2 diabetes, high A1C. We've got a wife who's 245 pounds, 5'6", stroke 4 years ago. Both parents had Alzheimer's in their mid-60s. Remember, if both parents have Alzheimer's, long-term care carriers get really nervous and usually just decline out of the gate. So we know we got a health situation here, right? We're definitely not going to be able to get them long-term care. So with motivation, they had lived through both parents with Alzheimer's, right? So they wanted to own as much coverage as possible because their mom lingered and their dad died a little faster. But in this case, they knew these long Alzheimer's claims are a little bit nervous. So what could they do with short-term care? And this is a great case that Blaine put together for the CLTC. They took 3 different carriers and used facility $400 a day for $144K from the first one. With home care, this short-term care plan pays home care based on a weekly or monthly basis. So $5,200 a month for home care, or $62.4 thousand for the home care on that side. And I know it's a lot of numbers, and you'll get these slides later, but I just got to talk them out. Second one, you got a $500 a day, big whopping plan for facility with that carrier. Wellaby goes up to $500, and home care $9,000 a month. And then carrier 3, $400 a day for $144,000 benefit with home care at $9,000 a month, or $108K. So when you look at all that overall, each person, both Max and Maxine, sitting there with literally $1,300 a day for facility or $39,000 a month coverage. And that's a $468,000 potential pool. Home care, $23,000 a month plus, $278,000 plus for the pool for one claim. And combined for the both of them, $746,000 plus in protection per person. And that's not including the restoration potentials with some of these plans. So really strong. You can see the premiums up there, $615 a month for a combined premium. Go check out your long-term care when you get this slide and see how much it costs to get long-term care, because even if they could get through the underwriting, you'd see long-term care would be really expensive for a big plan like this. So I just wanted to make sure you knew this is a huge, robust example of stacking policies. As long as you don't sell the same plan for the same carrier, they don't care. Remember, no coordination of benefits to worry about. So they don't care if you go out and write other short-term care plans, as long as you're out there not with the same carrier for the same plan. Manhattan Life, for example, though, you could have a short-term care Omniflex plan, comprehensive plan, and put a short or a home health care only plan on there from Manhattan Life, and they'd be fine with that. But as far as short-term care comprehensive plans, you need other carriers, but you can stack the poop out of them. And I'll tell you what, if you look at it, you could have had inflation on this, would have been more premium, but you would have had a whopper plan then, double those numbers with inflation. So some really, really big potentials. Again, that's why I'm telling you, because just those three case examples, short-term care really does deserve a place at the big table, because you can do so much with it, okay? Now, because of time, I did this on purpose. Remember, I told you I didn't tell you where the states were, but we will send those out to you, and you'll get these slides. So you'll see it at bird's eye view of this slide that shows all the different, a lot of the different carriers and what states are available in right now. And then we have little maps on there too. And again, I'm going to just zip through these. I know I hate when presenters zip through slides and say, I wanted to glance at that, but you'll get the slides real quickly. I'll make sure you guys get those based on the email address you signed up with, okay? And we have those home health care only plans out there that are available in a lot of states as well. The one thing I will tell you on this call, there are states, because of that whole long-term care thing I talked about, where they just say, we have all of our guidance based on long-term care. We don't know for sure what these plans are, or we're not going to approve them because we think agents will misuse them, or whatever the case is. There are states that won't have an insurance product that does these extended care, home care, and facility stuff, but you will have options like True Freedom, for example, is a non-insurance plan that's available in all 50 states. So ask our marketers about that, because we have something to help pretty much anybody you're sitting in front of, okay? And as I finish up here, again, just going through this real super quick, is we have everything you need to be successful, okay? So in the opportunity, we talk about in our sales training how to start the conversation and how easy it is. But make sure you have a presentation ready, or at least some slides printed to walk you through. It's super simple compared to selling long-term care. We have rate sheets, we have InstaPivot, we have StratDecision, everything you need, a side-by-side of the different carriers, a few of the carriers anyway, 4 of them, side-by-side to give you a quick bird's eye view of how they handle restoration and whether they have inflation, et cetera. And then we have our StratDecision, $500 a year, I think the licensing is now, that's free for GoldenCare agents. You can get on there and use it for long-term care and short-term care. We have training on that as well to show you how easy it is. Our InstaPivot, you can see on the slide, I'm not going to go into it deep, but an easy way for any state to click and say, my client's in this state and it has this condition, can I get coverage? And you can see immediately all of our home health care only plans, all the way over to our short-term care plans. All these different conditions that long-term care would have to run for the hills, you can see options quickly, okay? Then we have quick rate sheets for you. Some of you I know don't sell these things because you're afraid your client's going to be on the phone and say, well, Tom, how much is that about for a 65-year-old? We have quick rate sheets, so you can easily have that available in front of you. If anybody ever asks you, and you can quickly kind of see and say, yeah, for the home health care only plan, you can see really inexpensive for a 65-year-old, $30 a month. And we have an RX benefit in there that you can get some more, $25 a month off of that probably. So this is the home health care only plan. We have these available for Omniflex as well, and some of our other short-term care plans and home health care only plans. Again, just so you can feel comfortable. We're not telling you you have to sell these option 1, 2, or 3 plan designs. We just want you to know that if somebody asks, that's one of the first things your clients will be curious about, is about how much is it? And you can tell them from the low end over here at a nice little $3,000 a month plan for a full year, still we can get you $55 for a married person, all the way over to the more robust plans on the right. Okay, not going to go deep on those today. These clippings, you want to talk about hating when people zoom through slides really fast, because guess what? I knew this might happen, and that's why I put them in here at the end, because Lynn did a good job of finding some of the short-term care discussions out there, and we just have access to some of them. So it's just basically to try reinforce when I say booming market. Whenever you start seeing all the major journals out there and everything starting to talk about short-term care, believe me, I've done this a long time. Remember, they never used to talk about short-term care. I was right there with you guys 15 years ago saying, I don't even know these short-term care plans were out there. I didn't know they could do anything. Now with the new plans, they're turning heads. Agents are starting to talk about them, and baby boomers and clients are starting to talk about them. So remember, these are just a few examples of some of the things out there that are really sparking this industry for huge growth. Okay, so call our team. Again, I'll close up here. If you have questions that you type in, we'll definitely try to have our team do it, but it's easier just to call us, because I am so proud of my marketing team here. I can't talk enough about Jeff and Manny and Morgan and Lynn, Corey. They just do a great job. Got my little brother smiling. He's my older brother, but he's smiling at me down there. Poor Johnny passed away this last year. We miss him intensely. I didn't even notice it on the slide when I threw this in there. Lynn put these slides together. It's nice you have a memoriam for Johnny. But the key is we've got a great team here, you guys. And we really, really can help you be successful to go out and help more Americans, because it's so important. Lynn put this slide in here, all the part besides the back one, the bottom line. So I left it in there. I thought it was great that she set my team up, said, drive my team crazy, because she's literally reminding you guys that we're here to help. We're excited to help. We're passionate to help. And so many Americans need help. Call us. Ask us anytime you think about it. If you're saying, boy, I got a call that I'm going to go to a long-term care meeting tomorrow, I wonder what Jeff Clark or Manny or Morgan could whip up with short-term care to see how it would compare. We can do that. Drive my team crazy. Call them. Say, what exactly does this do? What's the smoking gun? They'll tell you there really isn't one. These plans are really, really strong, and they're really flexible, so you can help so many more people than you can now if you're not embracing them. Okay, so a lot of Americans out there, remember I talked about the fact we got a lot of gray hair in America, and there's a lot of them are out there saying, I'm not healthy enough to get long-term care, I can't afford long-term care, or I'm just afraid to death of long-term care. I've heard too much bad press about it. I need to see some other option. You know that now you can help more people because the underwriting is so easy and these plans are so flexible. So that being said, I tell you what, I'm going to wind it up. I would have liked to have finished at 45, but I just want you to know I'm so passionate about this industry that I really, really, really want to stress. If you're one of those agents on the fence, and I know there's hundreds of agents out there who say, well, I've never sold one because I don't want to look dumb and I don't want to present something I don't quite understand. That's why we're here. Make sure you take advantage of our tools. Make sure you take advantage of our expertise. We've got a great team to support you. Numbers on the screen. Look for these slides. Check them out again. And if you're on the fence, or if you haven't quite pulled the trigger, get appointed with us at GoldenCare. We'll talk about some of the incentives we have for you, our team, and really show you that these plans, you can help people, plus you can end up making a lot of money for yourself by doing a good job of educating Americans and helping them. So this is Tom Randall again. I want to thank you so much for taking your valuable time to jump on here. And hopefully again today, if you're leaning on the fence, you'll see why this is going to be a booming market. It's going to be huge, 6 times growth, most of us predicting in this market within the next few years, because agents are jumping in, long-term care carriers are jumping in. This is one of those things you're going to see. Short-term care is going to be just the new look in this market. And I believe at some point it'll overtake new sales on long-term care, because people will start looking at it saying, boy, these short-term care plans pack a lot of punch and can do a lot of great things. So get off my soapbox, tell you again, thanks everybody for jumping on. Have a great day.
GoldenCare is always here to serve you with new tools, new products, new ideas, and new innovations, and always the best support in the business to help you succeed. So give us a call at 800-842-7799 and check out our website at www.goldencareagent.com.